Football with friends is fun as hell, especially on a game week, man. My name is Alex Dunlap here with Cody Carpentier. Super pumped to be here with you guys on a big Tuesday. And it's a big Tuesday because we only 2 days really until we're going to have college football, right after the show's over. We have a bunch to get to today. Cody put up a column today with some of his kind of preseason awards for the Texas Longhorns, the SEC, and college football in general. So we're going to get into those things. We'll take any questions that you guys have in the super chat. I have some final takes that are still clacking around in the old admin from last Friday, but it is a final takes Tuesday. Cody wanted to do 2 final takes this week because there's not going to be a show Friday. I'm blasting out of town for one final weekend in the woods before the deep dig starts, and it'll be nice to get out there, but it's gonna be hard for Cody to answer final takes Friday questions all on his own. So we're not gonna do that. But we'll have the true final take show for the actual game on Thursday. But this is kind of like the preseason final takes. Cody, how are you, brother?
I'm doing good. Like you said, I put up a column today over on Orange Blood. That's going to be kind of like the build of my weekly column. It's going to come out probably on Mondays this season. And I added in a couple of tidbits from that Behind the Enemy Lines column I've been doing the last couple of weeks. And Alex, I'm just going to start it off hot and fresh right here. I got one question for you. I don't know if you read it or not. I know we've had a busy day in the fantasy world, so you maybe haven't. But I want to read off one thing to you, and I just want to get your snap reaction. What do you think of when you hear the Sooners released their official depth chart on Sunday, and a different face was listed as a co-starter at wide receiver? That'd be Brennan Thompson, who has become an under-the-radar leader for OU since the offseason. Brent Venables said, "What I love most about Brennan Thompson, he's become one of our best leaders. Incredibly vocal, really bright young guy."
I don't remember him being incredibly vocal and stuff like that, dude. Where did he come from? Like, he came from like Spearman, Texas, where it was, I think it was a little bit of a culture shock getting here to Austin. There was with Brennan Thompson, it was always just like, man, when you miss spring football to run track, just felt like he got off to a weird start here. But you remember, Cody, when we were at the combine, was it? I forgot, man. It might have been whenever he was being recruited. And maybe when it was his class, and what one of our friends said that was a scouting director who's a guy that we know from. He's my friend from college, right? And so my relationship with him far precedes any time that we would run into each other at the various scouting events or whatever. But we'd always meet up in Indy or Mobile and stuff. And he would say, just from his view, and like, this is an NFL scouting, the director of one of the departments, right? That was his favorite recruit in the whole class. Mm-hmm. And he just said he has that speed that you can't teach. And if you go back and watch the Alamo Bowl, and I know I talk a lot about the Alamo Bowl, but it's just because I've watched it back so many times just to kind of look at Jackson Arnold and also look at what Johnny Nansen did to attack that offense. Look at how Bill Norton played, or look at how Tia Olii Savea played, or like how Jacob Manu played, because we've talked about how Jacob Manu, that role that he played, that Mike linebacker role. Whenever I heard Anthony Hill was going to be playing middle linebacker this year before the spring even started, I was like, well, what? Like, this must be a different thing. So like I've probably watched that game 20 times. And so I know in that game, Brennan Thompson catches a big, long, sick touchdown from Jackson Arnold. So he was starting to pop off a little bit. Was he listed as a co-starter with Nick Anderson or with?
So the problem is that Jaden Gibson's out for the season. Nick Anderson's day-to-day with the hamstring. He's been like week to week, really. And then I believe Andrew Anthony's still banged up. So it's co-starter because of a multitude of injuries. As you know, like, a lot of people took it as if like, Oklahoma doesn't have a strong wide receiver.
Is he co-starter with Deion Burks or with Nick Anderson?
I got to look. It's probably with Anderson. I didn't look because I don't really care about the depth chart. This was a write-up from over there on that page. So the receiver room right now is Brennan Thompson or Nick Anderson. And then Andrew Anthony at the one wide receiver spot. In the slot, it's Deion Burks, and then Jacquez Petaway, and then at the other wide receiver spot, it's Jaleel Farouk.
They gave him a depth chart today, huh?
Yeah.
How cool of them. Do you think we'll get a do you think we'll get a depth chart Thursday? I doubt it.
This was from Sunday that they gave him a depth chart.
Well, we used to get depth charts on Mondays, and Sark just doesn't really do. Sark's like, nah, man. Like he's like, unless they, I think with Sark, unless they make him, dude, he's not big on any of this competitive advantage stuff. He's just he's like, you guys, I'm going to put him out on the football field. You know, if you guys are worth your salt as reporters, you should be able to figure out what the depth chart is, right? Hey, speaking of that, before we get into these awards and everything like that, since I did, and admittedly, I did not read your column. If anybody's interested in the fruits of our hard work today, you can go to rosterwatch.com. If you have fantasy drafts coming up, we have the ultimate draft cheat sheets over there that Cody and I are just maniacally pouring over right now. And even though the players that got cut today with NFL final cut downs weren't going to be fantasy relevant anyway, some of the ramifications with guys like AJ Dillon getting cut. That's kind of like there's a discussion to be had about Josh Jacobs, with some of these other with Deontay getting cut today. Like that's a new discussion with Jerome Ford, who's going to be handling the duties there in Cleveland before Nick Chubb gets back, if he does get back. And so if you want to make the right pick at every single turn of your draft, and you want me and Cody there with you, telling you exactly what we would do, making sure you take value at every single turn, go to rosterwatch.com, sign up for a pro membership, and you can download the cheat sheet that you need. There's one for standard and half-point PPR leagues, one for PPR leagues, and one for super flex leagues where you can start 2 quarterbacks. So the only tool you need, the Roster Watch Ultimate Draft cheat sheet. Magical, mystical, mythical. All right. But yeah, so I've been doing that all day. I've been having to update the sheets and follow all this news and run the new numbers. And so I didn't read your column, man. I'm sorry. But did it say something about? You did say Michigan's got a new quarterback. I saw that in the title.
Yeah. So basically, it was very weird because obviously last week I came out and on the write up for Michigan, it was about Alex Orji being the clear cut. They said, this was the answer all along. We knew it was going to be Orji.
Is it not Orji?
And then this week when I popped it up, because this column I wrote, I was like, well, I'm just gonna post this. I'm just gonna put one nugget from each team here. So I got one nugget from the Michigan, Oklahoma, Georgia, and A&M. And the Michigan nugget says, again, it comes down to it. Depends on who you ask when it comes to who will get the start. One contingent is adamant. It's Davis Warren. The other contingent is Alex Orji, who has done more than enough to be the guy. There's a rumor going around that Warren is QB1 in the latest depth chart posted, but we haven't gotten anything concrete.
How does this
Which is not Jack Tuttle.
Dude, hey, how does this media here get away with not knowing who the starter is, like 3 days before? Like, dude, if we were on Orange Bloods and we couldn't tell somebody who the starter was, they would be like, what do I pay my sub price for? You guys are supposed to have inside knowledge, like everything. It's like
the funny thing is, those were 2 different quotes I just read off there, and the one that said, the one contingent is adamant it's Davis Warren, the other contingent is it's Alex Orji. He's done more than enough to be the guy, and then this next quote said, there's a rumor going around that Warren is QB1 in the latest depth chart that's posted, but we haven't got anything concrete. That depth chart is the one that has I can't remember what the guy's name is. Some guy listed. Listen to this though. This quote was, this rumor going around that Warren is QB1 in the latest depth chart posted. We haven't got anything concrete. And I didn't add this to my note, but it says something about this right tackle being the starter, as if it was like that right tackle is not the starter. No less than 2 hours later on their board, there was another column put up about that right tackle being the clear-cut right tackle. So it's like I don't want to throw anybody on the bus and be like, that's a bad reporting or anything like that, but it's like, it seems like a circle jerk of not analysis, but like a circle jerk of like information getting given to them. Like at first they're like, oh, that right tackle is not even like, he's not going to be the starter. And then like an hour later, no less than an hour later. So they're like throwing out one source of thought because they think that this piece of it is wrong. And then an hour later, they like know that piece is actually right. So then does that tell, you know what I'm saying? Does that make sense?
Yeah. It sounds like they're not getting good info.
That's like what I was thinking.
They should be able to say who the starting quarterback is going to be, or at least what there should at least be one guy on that staff who has a source high enough to where they can be like, dude, just I need to let my readers kind of know at least which way you're leaning, man. Like we have a good enough relationship to where I really need that from you, brother. But I guess we'll see. That's what. Do you want to go through the rest of the nuggets for the rest of these teams? Because so the Brandon Thompson nugget is the thing from OU, huh?
Yep. The Carson Beck one was kind of a small one, but he just admitted that he had some nerves headed into game one last year, which makes sense. His first year starting. 1 year later, Beck admits that some of those nerves aren't present heading into this weekend's opener against Clemson. This weekend is obviously a bigger game. Head coach Kirby Smart echoed Beck's thoughts. He said the Bulldogs coach feels comfortable putting more on Beck's plate in terms of volume of offense. Which is odd because there's a little less talent. There's no Ladd McConkey. There's no Brock Bowers. There's no Jason McClellan, or not Jason McClellan. Dejon Edwards and
Marcus Rosemy Jackson.
Rosemy Jackson too, who got cut today.
Did he get cut? No.
Yeah. Okay. Anyway, I just thought that was an interesting little nugget because, like last week, there was a note on the same board talking about him struggling at times during scrimmages and stuff, and a lot just gets thrown at these quarterbacks, positive and negative. Same thing with Quinn, same thing with Shedeur, same thing with all these quarterbacks. So just a little nugget of something he had said where he said, he had nerves going in last year. He has no nerves going in this year. And he's going in against an underdog Clemson team that I've listened to a couple pods this week. People think, there's a chance that Georgia just like splats Clemson. I'm not sure that's going to happen. But the fact that Carson Beck feels a little different about this team, I don't know. I don't know really what it says other than he feels different than he did a year ago, which tells you he's more comfortable in the offense.
I'm comfortable saying that Carson Beck, once I got to see him in person and kind of stand next to that's a big guy, man. He's a big, good looking dude. I didn't realize what prototypical like just size he has. It's not just how tall he's got. It's like when I tell people about Arch and they're like, what does he look like when you're out there at practice? I'm like, dude, he's big. And they, what do you mean? And I'm like, well, I don't know the exact stats about his, height, weight. He's probably like
6'4", 226,
6'5", something. Yeah. But it's more like you look at him and you look at his hands and his feet. He's got the feet, like I say, like all like do you remember those Clydesdale horses that were on the old Budweiser commercials? Like during Christmas time, like he's got these giant big feet and these big hands. He's just a big dude. And Carson Beck has that same vibe to him, man. Very, very, very prototypical size. But yeah, I mean, I guess it's good for Georgia to hear he's coming along. Was there anything about A&M?
Just a small nugget. Terry Busey is a freshman athlete that they had on the roster in the last few weeks on the old Aggie Yell board.
Man, Texas was after him.
Yes,
they tried at least.
Last week when I posted stuff about him, people were saying, "Man, I really wish he would have came to Texas," and so that was interesting. But they said, like, my thoughts here was in the last few weeks on Aggie Yell, there was a growing expectation that Busey was going to have a larger role in the offense. He was listed as a defender, like a D-back earlier in camp. Instead, when they released the depth chart, he was nowhere to be seen on offense or defense. He's actually listed as a starting punt returner, and the column had a write-up that said, "I'm surprised at the absence of Terry Busey in the 2-deep, but whatever. This way, a small element of surprise is kept when he trots out there. Surprising that the true freshman beats out the veteran with punt return experience, but Busey's explosiveness is unique." That's from Mark Passwater from Aggie Yell. I just thought that was interesting because, like, he's a true freshman, and there was expectation for this kid to be either like a guy in the 2-deep in the defense. And the last couple of weeks, it's been like he's going to be a weapon on the offense and potentially start, and he just wasn't on the depth chart. So, again, like I've said before, there's really not a ton on the Aggie Yell board. It's kind of a not great layout of a the site is fine. It's similar to Orange Bloods, but how they put out content is.
I was about to say.
Annoying.
I was about to say, Cody. I mean, I know Orange Bloods is rivals, and you're trying to do your best to stick to these rival sites. But I think for Aggie Intel, if you just want to go to Tex Ags, it's fine. Everybody understands that they're like the Orange Bloods gorilla in the room, and they're not. It isn't like they're a competitor that's associated with some other
Yeah.
I think if you just go over to TexAgs and read what Lucci says and stuff, you'll get info that's a lot better than old Pass Waters over there. But
The problem is I probably got to pay a couple more bucks for that.
yeah, probably so. That's why we could yeah, man. That's why we need to get the show a sponsor, just so Cody can have a little extra cash to go over go over to TexAgs. If you're interested in talking to us about that or about anything, if you have any comments about the show or anything like that, you can email us fwfemails@gmail.com. Oh my goodness, let me just see here. I didn't check before the show. Looks like we might have got okay. So if you guys emailed us on there, sorry I didn't get back to you. I'll get back to these after the show. But yeah,
Sandbagger miss a couple emails or what?
Yeah, I'm just here sandbagging. I'm also seeing I need to get a new headshot over to our program director at SiriusXM. Apparently, that was a big emergency about 3 hours ago. So
you must not have done that about a month ago when he asked for it.
No, I did. He said the one I sent's too cockamamie and small. I don't know. Gosh, so well over 300 people in the chat right now across all the streaming spots, man. We certainly do appreciate you guys clicking up towards 400 here with only 15 minutes into the show. So that's a big deal, man. Thank you guys so much for being here, for continuing to come hang out with us here on the show. So good to see everybody in the chat. Like Cotton's telling me that I would that an overhand left from me would hit Arch in the nuts, and Money B checking in, Chad Gibson with the Connor Stallion stuff. So good to see all you guys, man. We can't tell you how much we appreciate you guys being here and being around. So
you didn't watch that. You didn't watch that Stallions doc, did you? I haven't watched it yet.
I mean, should I? You're saying that
I'd like to hear from the chat. I mean, if they've asked it, if they've watched it, I'd love to hear a yes or no. Should we watch it? Because I've heard mixed thoughts on it, I guess, across socials today.
Across. I just
crossed with a T.
I can't tell if that's like a younger generation thing or whether that's
definitely Midwest.
I think it's a Midwestern kind of thing, right?
Definitely Midwest.
Yeah, it's like you that just kind of Midwest corn fed dudes. Unlike the cattle at Texas Beef Traders, which are, of course, grass fed Angus beef, certified Angus beef, or Iron Table Wagyu from Gatesville. The Angus beef is from Mason. Texas Beef Traders is right there in the heart of Lakeway, and you get 10% off by telling them that you heard about them here on Orange Bloods. It's already cheap. It's already better than the grocery store. It's already this stuff you get at the grocery store is probably not even from America. This is not just from America. It is from local farmers. You're supporting local farmers. You're supporting a great beef shop. Super cool guys. We're going to be there live September 6th, the Friday night before the Michigan game. All I can say is just come out, man. They're going to there's going to be some food. There's going to be some free beers, free food. Cody and I'll be doing the show live from there. We're going to have an extra microphone. If any of y'all, any of the cockamamie people out there want to come up and say your piece on a Final Takes Friday live from Texas Beef Traders, you can come up and do it. It's going to be a great show. We're going to be just eating, drinking, being merry, talking Texas Longhorns, talking. By then, I guess we'll be talking maybe a little bit NFL Week 1. We probably won't have time for that with all the Michigan stuff, but it's going to be a great time. Texas Beef Traders is right there in the heart of Lakeway off of Loman's Crossing. Come on out. Put it on the calendar. 6 o'clock, but come early. Cody and I will be up there boozing even beforehand. Hopefully not too much. Because we need to do the show.
I fly in at 1 o'clock, so I might just go straight there.
Okay. Texas Beef Traders, TexasBeefTraders.com. And if you can't make it into Lakeway but you still want to order it, get 10% off, just call up there, get 10% off, pay over the phone, just talk to Darren or Shay, and they'll make arrangements to just bring it to you. All right. It's that kind of place, man. It's that kind of place. So give them a call. Texas Beef Traders. Okay. We can do final takes. A final takes Tuesday.
Let's do a final takes Tuesday. Again, this is the preseason awards show edition. So we're going to do another final takes on Thursday, the last day of the show this week. But this one's going to be dedicated to getting those final takes in on the 2024 season as we enter it. So let's start out with Texas. Let's go. Final take. Who was the Texas Freshman of the Year?
Do you want to go first and give me time to think about it? Like I said, I haven't had time to think these over yet.
So mine, I'm going Jarrett Gibson. Some of the comments I think directly will lead you to Ryan Wingo. Kind of the reason I didn't go Wingo was because there's 6 receivers in that room. think there's still an avenue, obviously, for Wingo to be that guy. If he were to push, 6, 7, 8 touchdowns, we expect him to have a little bit of a red zone package or focus, at least from the jump as the season begins. And that role could obviously expand for a multitude of reasons. I went Jarek Gibson overall because he's going to enter the season as the running back, 2B, I would say. It's probably going to be Blue, and then Wisner and Gibson
I
are
think he's running
2A,
back
2B.
Yeah.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, that's a bigger conversation. I would call him 2B. They might call him 3. It is what it is. More so than anything, I think that role is going to continue to grow. They're going to use Wisner across the formations. I think that these guys are going to be used quite a bit. I think Gibson's role is going to grow as the season goes on. I could see him in the first 4 games getting a good, hefty amount of carries, and that in itself will allow Sark to trust him, this offense to trust him. They've talked on end about the need for these guys to stay healthy and get work as the season prolongs. So I'm going to go Gibson here. I think there's a couple of other interesting ones. Like I said, obviously Simmons comes up, but there's, I don't want to say he's buried on the defense, but
he's not buried. He's going to play.
If he can be electric, which we know he can in his maybe limited opportunities, he could be a runaway with this one. It just all depends. But I'm going to go Gibson. I think pure usage and importance, I'm going to give it to Gibson.
I mean, well, there's only 3 candidates for this, right? It's the only 3, and they're all on offense. Or no. 2 of them are on offense, one's on defense. Yeah, it's got to be Colin Simmons, Ryan Wingo, or Jarrett Gibson. And the way I could see you being right and it being Gibson is if Gibson at the end of the season, Jarrett Gibson might have more touchdowns rushing than Ryan Wingo has receiving. I think that'll probably be like 4 or 5 or something like that. It was probably what it's going to take to get that done. What do you have them projected for touchdown wise in your projection?
I don't project touchdowns.
Okay.
Touchdowns aren't projectable in my opinion. So,
well, but what I mean, but yeah, all right. But if you were doing it the way that we do it for NFL, what you could just do is you could just say you could take the average. I guess with Gibson, there's not any career of work, but you just take the average yards per touchdown for a college running back and just put it in like that. But I think that's probably 4 or 5. I think Gibson probably gets in 4 times, and I think Wingo could catch anywhere from 3 to 7 touchdowns this season.
I think so. I think that's probably
And so I think that if you just think about what it would be freshman of the year, it's like, okay, so what would Colin Simmons have to do for like the old Jeff Ketchum, Tommy Boy guarantee stamp on the box, something I can actually point to that's tangible in doing this, besides just saying like, dude, when he was on the field, the things he did, the way he was able to disrupt the opposing quarterback or whatever, like it has to be that he got a certain number of sacks, or you know what I mean, or a certain number of.
That's what I'm saying. Like, what's that number for Wingo for touchdowns and Simmons for sacks? Overall output.
I think that Simmons would need to. Dude, I almost think that Simmons would need to have. Like, I think a sack for Simmons, as far as if we're talking about the freshman hype meter for freshman of the year, I think it's worth a touchdown for Gibson or for Wingo. I think if he has something like this 3 to 6 sacks, something like that, we'd be talking about him in the same kind of way. What Cotton in the chat says 7 sacks. I think 7 sacks is probably more touchdowns than the rest of these guys have. I know it's a weird way to think about it, but I
don't think it's wrong.
Yeah, right. I don't think it's wrong either. So, what do I think is most likely out of all those? Man, I would say maybe it's Gibson just pounding in like 6 touchdowns, especially if he can do it at the beginning of the season right now. But that same thing goes for Wingo. I think that Wingo can do it also during the heart of the season. And what have we heard? Dude, what have we heard all week long? And it's the thing that the players are most tilted to be hearing about, and the thing these coaches are tilted to hear about. It's like, well, Coach Sark, aren't you worried about Jaden Blue running between the tackles?
No.
He's like, dude, it's the same thing I keep saying. I'm even tilted by it when people say it. I'm just, this isn't like you're not asking to be like Ron Dane, These guys could be 205, 206, 208 and just be like killer between the tackles, runners in college. They do it all the time. And so I'm not necessarily buying into the fact that anytime they get down to the goal line, they're just going to you're going to see Jarrett Gibson running out there. It's like Jarrett Gibson's not that much heavier than I don't have his weight pulled up, but he doesn't look that much bigger he's shorter.
Yeah. His BMI, he's probably got a little better BMI, a little better base in the lower quarter. But he was, I think he was like 211 and then he was like 207 or something like that. I want to say he lost a couple pounds.
Dude, all right. He might look a tiny bit more stout, but Jaden Blue looks fine. And so
I think that's the overlooked thing though, right? Is everyone just says, well, Blue is like this scrawny thing. He's not.
Well, no, Blue's not scrawny. He's going to be fine. Blue's going to go big, man. So I think so. What I think is most likely is that it's Ryan Wingo. I just know they're going to dial things up for him down there in the red zone. They just have. If I've said it once, I've said it a million times. If it bears repeating, just go back and watch his touchdown in the spring game. And when you watch that touchdown in the spring game, just go watch the touchdown. You don't got to watch the whole game. But let me tell you this. That is the one play where they lined him up in the slot out of everything. What does that tell you about what they're doing with Ryan Wingo? There's a red zone package for Ryan Wingo where they line him up in the slot and they get him those kinds of routes and give him those kinds of looks. And whatever you want to say, he's a freshman, yada, yada. It's fine, right? But he's Ryan Wingo, when you're out there on that football field and you're watching this football team, you see a lot of really good receivers, right? None of them look like Wingo. None of them have the body type of Wingo. There's a lot of dudes that have kind of similar body types. I mean, Isaiah Bond doesn't really look that much different. There are things like Jonte Cook's got longer arms and bigger hands and stuff like that. But he's there's not that much of a difference in their body types. Bond and DeAndre Moore, right? DeAndre Moore and Golden. All these dudes, if Texas is going to have a red zone presence, it's like an Adonai Mitchell was last year, it's going to be Ryan Wingo. So I think Wingo, since I think he's going to have the counting stats in the touchdown department, and I think that Jarrett Gibson's usage is overblown because of people's worry about his ability to run between the tackles. It's been largely eschewed. Eschewed? Is that a word? Eschewed? E-S-C-H? It's been largely eschewed by the staff and by the players. What does eschewed mean?
Eschewed with a D or a T?
I just mean to push it aside. Yeah, to avoid using, accepting, participating in, or partaking of. Yeah, so this has been something that they have not.
What the hell are you saying? What is the word you just spelled?
E-S-C-H-E-U.
C-H. Okay.
Yeah.
E-U.
So okay. This whole cockamamie idea has been eschewed by the staff and by the players. So I think it's gonna be Wingo. I just don't know if Colin Simmons is gonna get up to 6 or 7 sacks. I think that he's gonna be he's gonna be a demon though. I think Colin Simmons is gonna be a demon for sure. Tom G in the super chat, very, very rich. Thank you, brother. Thank you, my friend.
Thank you, Tom G.
Oh, Tom G. I texted Tom G last night about the possibility of a fantasy football league. Ketchum's league folded. I'm not sure, Tom G. I'm not sure we're gonna get enough players. I don't know, man. We'll see what happens. But I
got at least one guy. I'm working on a second right now. So
I think that might put us at 7 or 8.
I thought you said we already had 8. Damn it.
Well, I'm not sure. I forgot what we were at. I was texting people last night. But anyway, what's up, Alex, Cody? Week 1, baby. Can't wait for Prize Picks later this week. Wingo's a stud. Think he'll be starting by mid-year. It's no one's allowed to be surprised if he is if he's starting by mid-year. Wes Miller OB in the chat. What's going on, brother? So good to see you. He's saying that. So we have over 400 people watching across Facebook, X, and YouTube. Right now, he's saying there's 76 here in YouTube, but only 20 likes. Can you guys please like the show? If you're at YouTube and you're just right there, I know it's harder if you're watching on X or Facebook to get over here, but it would be nice if you could come over later and do it. But man, if you're watching the show on YouTube or if you're watching it back later, it really helps us out a ton to get you guys to click the like button. So I certainly do appreciate it. All right, Wes Miller saying he would play. We'll send you information about it, brother. All right.
Final takes.
Do you want me to do one of mine, or are we gonna get through these freshman ones or these preseason ones first?
Let's get through the preseason ones, and then we'll crank these out, and then we'll get to those.
All
right. Final takes. Who is the T'Vondre Sweat breakout player of the year for Texas?
Well, okay. So whenever you said this, so how do you define the T'Vondre Sweat breakout player? What are we like? What are the like? Whenever we
was T'Vondre Sweat what T'Vondre Sweat was last year?
Yeah, but like your list cockamamie is the PFWA, where you just say like, what do you mean by the comeback player? It's like whatever you think. But then like whenever you answer the question and give a bad answer, you're like, how can you make Geno Smith the comeback player? He won't even hurt. Like, well,
this is breakout. This isn't comeback. Comeback would be like, someone that broke a leg last year.
I'm not saying this is comeback, but I'm saying it's the whole cockamamie thing. Whenever last year or something, when we said that, the comeback player was Flacco, and they're like, well, wait, but he didn't come back from an injury. Like, well, you never said come back from an injury. He just came back. Like, so I'm asking what this thing means.
This is exactly what it means. This is a layup, Alex. I don't know why you're slacking on answering this thing. We both have the same answer, and it needs to be Alfred Collins.
Absolutely not Alfred Collins. No. If we're talking about it, okay.
So my answer. My answer is Alfred Collins. I want to hear.
Explain why.
I don't have to.
Why?
It's
a talk show. You're supposed to talk about it. What happens?
He's getting off the milk carton. The role is there. Everything we've heard about Alfred Collins behind the scenes has been him just being the unequivocal DT1. Like, there's been questions surrounding Vernon Broughton since the season ended about him being in that starting rotation. It seems like as we've gotten closer, there should have really never been a question. But Alfred Collins has been like the one guy that they just talk about. The teammates talk about him. The coaches talk about him. And as far as like the T'Vondre Sweat, for me, and you just asked about it, well, how do you define it? The definition of it is a guy that, Sweat's a little different. He gained 100 pounds. Collins, in his own right, never broke out, and he had one big game 2 years ago, and then has been on the milk carton ever since. Like, his opportunities now to truly become, it's going to be really hard to become like one of, if not the best defensive tackle in the conference, because obviously you got Landon Jackson, you got Deion Walker, you got a number of these guys. But he's got a real opportunity to like vault himself into that conversation or up to that conversation, and potentially, like we've heard in NFL draft circles about this guy's length, and obviously we know how important length and intangibles are at the next level, and he's got the size, the length, and everything around it. So I think the door is just wide open for him to do that. And when I like look at the roster across with a T, it seems like there's a couple guys. But I don't want to call a guy that's, had a year starting or multiple years starting, and I'm like, well, that's going to be the guy that breaks out. Like, he's already technically starting. So I guess if you want to define it, it's like a guy that really didn't have a clear-cut starting rule.
Here's the difference between T'Vondre Sweat and Alfred Collins. T'Vondre Sweat.
I didn't compare him.
No, well, but you're saying, well, all right.
The award is called named after.
Here's the difference. Here's the difference between your proposed 2023 T'Vondre Sweat breakout with Alfred Collins.
I'm not in no way comparing Sweat to Collins. I named the award after Sweat.
Okay.
It's like the Vince Lombardi Super Bowl. I'm not Super Bowl trophy. You're not comparing anybody to Vince Lombardi. You're just naming the trophy after him.
Whenever I think about the T'Vondre Sweat breakout award, okay? Whenever I think about this prestigious award that I just heard about this morning when you sent the show sheet to Tyler. Whenever I think about this award, what I've long thought about it is that this is an award for a player who was a backup, but who was actually good, right? Alfred Collins hadn't been good, right? I think that Alfred Collins has flashed. He has, he's been inconsistent. I think the coaching staff will be the first to tell you that they've been frustrated with his inconsistencies. Scouts have certainly been frustrated with his inconsistencies. I've been frustrated with them. I think fans have too. Sweat. I'm looking at it now. It's like Sweat last year was just. I mean, he created production just like this. The second out of 170 or 165 players that had played at least 100 snaps at Texas, dating back to 20. What does this date back to? 2015. Sweat was the second best as far as snaps per production caused, right? Last season, second best out of 176. But he was at 5.44 snaps per production caused. But in 2020, he played 306 snaps. He was at 8.11 snaps per production caused. In 2022, he played 408 snaps. He was at 8.37 snaps per production caused. In 2021, he played 295 snaps, and he was at 9.15 snaps per production caused. Alfred Collins last year was last year 2023. Gosh, how far do I need to keep scrolling down? He's maybe he's higher up than I thought. Alfred Collins last year was at 11.09 snaps per production caused. So it's a different level of player. It's more of a kind of right at that area of sub replacement level. And so this answer is very clear. It has a clear answer. It is not Alfred Collins. Whenever I think of the Devondre Sweat Award, the prestigious, notable award, I think about big men, oversized men, right? Men that have been good in the times that they've gotten to play, but maybe haven't been a starter just yet. But I think about big, bruising men, dude, guys that are going to maul inside in the trenches. And that guy for me is Cam Williams. Cam Williams comes in as a guy that grades out as basically the third best offensive lineman that Texas has had during the time that he's played. And if it weren't for 3 false start penalties last year, his snaps per disruption allowed on the offensive line would be every bit as good as DJ Campbell and almost as good as Kelvin Banks. And he looks better now. He looks like an NFL star. He's going to come in. He's going to be the true breakout dude who by the end of the season, we're talking about people are going to say that Texas has the best tackle tandem in the SEC and stuff like that. Well, I guess they're going to say that about I think that's probably probably LSU is going to be tough to beat, but like that'll be an argument that people will make. One of the best tackle tandems in the nation. It is Cam Williams is the correct answer for this Final Takes Tuesday.
I like it. I can't argue with it, and I would love that to be the truth. So I'll give that one to you. All right, Final Takes. Who is your prediction for the overall Heisman Award winner?
Man, do you know if I thought Will Howard was better,
yeah,
I think I would choose him just because he feels like he's so set up, dude. That team, that Ohio State is just so set up this year. I mean, you talk about Texas having a good roster and all this stuff. I think that, man, I think that I just don't know. I don't know how good I think he is, man. I remember when he was on K-State. What? So Will Howard. I'm trying to think about the game about my memory of him.
I was at your house. It was Ben Sinnott. We just got done with radio and we came out, and they were moving downfield.
He missed. Yeah, I think he missed Sinnott on that one play. You're just like, dude, are you kidding me, man? This guy's got no idea what he's doing here.
So the odds, I'll read the odds off to you. Dylan Gabriel's made a move. He's moved up even more.
It's always going to be a quarterback. So I'm not even
500. Carson Beck is plus 800. Ewers plus 12. Will Howard plus 1,400. Nico Iamaleava plus 1,400. Jalen Milroe plus 1,400. Jackson Dart plus 1,400. Cameron Ward plus 1,400. Nussmeier, Avery Johnson, Weigman, Aller, Jackson Arnold, Jalen Daniels, Cam Rising, Brady Cook, Riley Leonard.
Not Riley Leonard.
Do you want me to read you off my Heisman watch list?
No, it's just I kind of don't think it'll be Quinn because I think at some point in the season he'll get hurt and Arch is going to have to play a few games, and I think that would hurt his chances. this is weird to say. I mean, I think that Kalen DeBoer is going to have some success at Alabama, and it makes me think that Milroe could be in good consideration there. I worry that Georgia's got a tough schedule this year, and you wonder, losing all the weapons that we discussed earlier with Carson Beck. Man, maybe I'd say Will Howard. I'm going to say Howard. I'm just going to say it just because of the situation, the setup, and just the utmost respect that I have for the personnel that they have on that team. I But I do think if Alabama's playing in the SEC championship, that like Milroe is going to definitely be there and could be somebody that really ends up swindling them. So I'm going to say Howard, but I really hate it. It's a real crying call for me.
All right, so I did it in a tier-based fashion, and I have a Heisman watch list. This will be part of my column every single week. Is a watch list. There's probably going to be 10 guys. It might dwindle as the season goes. Tier 4 is number 10. I have Travis Hunter, the wide receiver in DB. I have him at 10. Number 9, number 8 are in tier number 3. 8 is Avery Johnson from Kansas State. 9 is Kyron Drones from Virginia Tech. 2 rushing quarterbacks that are, you're going to get good odds on. They're hyper upside. They have upside, but they also could totally flame out and drop from this list pretty quickly. Tier number 3, number 7, Ollie Gordon, the running back from Oklahoma State. Number 6, Quinn Ewers, quarterback of Texas. Number 5, Cameron Ward, quarterback Miami. Tier number 2, number 4, Dylan Gabriel. Number 3, Will Howard. Number 2, Jalen Milroe. And my Heisman winner is Carson Beck, quarterback Georgia.
Yeah, well, I mean, I think we see it. I think we see it a little bit alike with the two at the top. I think if Quinn stays healthy all year, I think he stands a really good chance of getting an invite to the jam. Do you know what I mean? I think he stands a really good shot at it.
I think you're right with that too. It feels like a group that, like, normally you're looking for that like pizzazz factor, that different thing, and like I think you asked it like last week or maybe a week and a half ago about Milroe, or about which one of these guys kind of had a feel like that, and it's like Milroe has that feel where he could totally take over college football with his rushing ability. And if he can, if that arm takes that next step up, kind of like we've seen Hurts do literally every year since he got to Bama, then Oklahoma, then the NFL, Milroe could take a step like that and really compete for this thing. But Beck, to me, in that offense, if they have a tough schedule, but if they were to go undefeated, his stats could be, I don't want to say below average, but below Heisman standard average, and he would be able to potentially win it even with that if they go undefeated.
Yeah, for sure, man. All right. Well, we got another. Oh, do you know what? I have something that I want to talk about, and that's of course the awesome shirts that we get from Poncho Outdoors. Right. Just take a look at Colt McCoy wearing that shirt, man. These shirts from Poncho are great. They send them to us. We wear them. We love them. They got the hoodies. They have all kinds of stuff. I really like the Western shirts. Very, very breathable. They're very just high quality. And the thing I like about these Poncho shirts is they look really good. They're great for fishing. Whenever I get done with my hunting and I'm chilling at the ranch and making a fire and stuff like that, you can bet I'm going to be wearing one of these shirts, just chilling around the fire, watching football and stuff like that, hanging with my brother-in-law out there at the ranch this weekend. So make sure and check them out. And if anything happens to the shirts or there's something you don't like, just send them back. They'll fix it, or they'll send you a new one for the lifetime of the shirt. It's that kind of company, super high quality. Colt McCoy works super duper close to them. And now they have the Texas Longhorns, ones that are like licensed through the school. So it has like the perfect burnt orange color and various stuff. They also just came out with some today. This called the Gulf Edition, where they have some I don't know, I got an email about it, but it looks like they have some like little things like seagulls or something. It looks really awesome. It's a great looking fishing shirt. So make sure you guys check them out, man. Poncho Outdoors, great sponsor. We cannot thank them enough. All right, let's gosh, Cody, almost 500 people watching the show, brother. Final takes. Who'd have thought, man? Final takes. It's popular these days, man. Whenever I was like, I keep talking about, I'm getting out of town for the weekend. Just went up to Specs earlier today to get one of the big bottles of Casamigos. And if I get this thing at my local liquor store. It costs like $148. You get it at Specs. It costs $109, man. It's still pretty expensive, but hey, it's you got to pay up for these big bottles of tequila whenever you and your brother-in-law are gonna go out and hopefully shoot some access and then shoot the bull after that for the rest of the night watching college football. So yeah, I mean, big ups to our people at Specs. Always great prices, always amazing, and of course they do sponsor the Specs chat line.
Specs same-day delivery can save the day with our Specs app or online shopping. From world-class wines to hard-to-find spirits and craft beers to gourmet foods, delicious snacks, and spectacular sweets. It's Specs. Cheers to savings.
All right, we're back. Football with friends. So pleased to be here. If you're just joining the show, thank you for tuning in. We're here every day at 6 p.m. Central Time. So please come back. We pride ourselves on getting into it, talking football, as little filler as possible. We know that your time is very valuable. We're very respectful of it, and we can't thank you guys enough for being here. Just a quick reminder, which is scrolling across the bottom, but if you want to email the show, fwfemails@gmail.com. Everyone that emailed since yesterday, I'll get back to you after the show. Sorry about that. And then, of course, Texas Beef Traders live in person on September 6th. Make sure and mark your calendars. At some point, Darren says he's going to give me a link to where you can just like RSVP and let him know that you're coming. But honestly, that's up to him. If he never gets it, you should just come because they're going to have a bunch of food ready and waiting to go and a bunch of beers. So again, that's Texas Beef Traders right there in Lakeway off of Loman's Crossing. Mark your calendars for the live show, 6 p.m. at Texas Beef Traders in Lakeway. All right.
Final takes. All right. One more thing before we do final takes. The Football with Friends SEC season-long Pick'em Challenge. QR code's right there. I've had multiple questions on the board about joining it. Where's the link? I have the link over my column. I have the link right here.
Hey, why can't we pick the Arkansas game in this one? Is it just not available?
I will look. I will look tonight.
Okay.
It should be available. It should be all SEC games. I clicked SEC. So because it's a Thursday game, they might have doxed it. It might be just Saturdays. But anyway, scan the QR code, jump in. The more people we get, the better the prize is going to be. If it's only 30 of us, the prize might be, a can of pop. But if we can get that number up, you might get a little something more. So we appreciate you guys. Jump on in. Take us on all season long, every single week. It'll be a conversation point on the show for the majority of the rest of the season. So final takes. We got to cook through these. Total Texas All-Americans, first and second team.
Who does that? Who picks it? The Cockamamie Media and the Journos?
Let's go on the FWAA because your boy's a part of it. Let's do that. Let's do the
OBS is saying there's several SEC games not on there. I was thinking the same thing, dude.
I'll take a look at tonight then because I just clicked what they gave me. They told me I can click SEC, I can click ACC, I can click all. I went ahead and clicked SEC. So I'll go.
Is there any way you can just select the games manually?
Yes, I'll go. Like I said, I'll look tonight.
Okay. But you're going to be able to do that and just
correct.
I'm just playing with you. I know you don't. I'm gonna keep haggling with you about this SEC, about this Arkansas game. Okay. So FWAA, All American.
I'll give you all a damn point when they beat Arkansas Pine Bluff or whatever they play.
Okay.
All right, let's do FWAA rules. So this is where the voting will go. So last year, the only All-American on first and second team was Sweat for Texas and Xavier Worthy as a punt returner.
Okay, so how many running backs, how many linebackers, how many DB? Like, is it DBs, corners?
So it's quarterback, 4 skills. So the first team had 1 running back, 3 receiver. The second team had 2 running back, 2 receiver, and then 1 tight end.
Oh, and then 5 offensive linemen.
5 offensive linemen, 2 DNs, 2 D tackles, 3 backers, 4 DBs, kicker, punter, kick return, punt return, all.
So 3 backers, 4 DBs.
Correct.
Okay, Texas is going to have.
Dallas Turner was a linebacker last year,
and only 2 quarterbacks total.
Correct. 2 overall. So last year was Penix and Daniels.
So Kelvin Banks will be first team.
Kirk Bowles is also voting on this.
Anthony Hill, I think, will be second team. I think he'll be one of the top 6 linebackers in the nation, pretty obviously.
Yep. I have Muhammad on there as well.
I don't think close. I don't. I don't know because how many safeties and how many corners did they pick last year?
Chris Abrams, Drain, Missouri, corner. Brylan Green, Liberty, safety. Quinyon Mitchell, corner. Tyler Nubin, safety. Beanie Bishop, corner. Cooper DeJean,
I
both.
mean,
Malachi Starks, safety. Xavier Watts, safety.
dude, I'm not ready to put Manny Muhammad in the Quinyon Mitchell Cooper DeJean bucket just yet, dude.
That's fair.
I love Manny.
Okay.
I think that's it, dude. I think they have two.
Trey Moore. Trey Moore
would he be D end or linebacker?
Well, that's what I just said. Dallas Turner was linebacker last year. So they had Jonah Ellis, Liatu Latu, Dallas Turner were all in the first team. The second team was Jalen Green from James Madison, who had like 15 sacks. Mo Kamara from Colorado State, who had like 10 plus sacks. I think he can.
What about like Jared Verse and like what about the FSU guys and stuff? Like none
Jared
of them
Verse
made it.
didn't make it last year.
And Chop didn't make. I guess Chop wasn't that productive.
Chop didn't have a great year.
I mean that I think I would.
I mean, you don't think you can have a? I mean, Dallas Turner didn't light the world on fire. Like if Trey Moore has 10 sacks, he's going to be in this conversation. Jalen Green had 15 at James Madison, and Mo Kamara had like 11 at Colorado State. Like Trey Moore has a dozen sacks. So you're saying 2 then for Banks and Hill. You talked me off from Malik Muhammad, so I'm gonna go 3 then. Moore, Hill, and Banks.
Hey, I think that Moore can.
That's fair.
I just know, man, that I just know, and from these mock drafts, man, this is a big draft year for edge rush.
True that. All right, let's go to the predictions then. Texas record prediction.
Okay, so I mean, I haven't really come out with this, but I guess I'll just do it. I think Texas
regular season only.
So I think Texas loses 2.
You want to name the 2 or no?
I don't know which 2. I think that they're gonna. I think that they'll probably. I think maybe Georgia, and then they'll stub their toe in one that we're not expecting, right? Or it could be OU, and I think Texas will beat OU this year. I think they'll beat Michigan. I'm worried about Georgia. I think at some point along the season there's going to be some cockamamie thing that happens, and Texas loses that game, and they lose a hard-fought game versus Georgia, and they get into the college football playoff, and they're like some kind of 8 seed or 6, 7, 8 seed, something like this, 6 seed, 6 through 8 seed.
This is a conversation we can have another day, but I do want to tell everybody Oklahoma is currently a 3.5 point favorite against Texas in a mythical matchup, according to FanDuel. 3.5 point favorite, that is.
Oklahoma is?
With a 97.5 point total.
What?
That's a different conversation for a different day. But right now, over on FanDuel, Oklahoma's a 3.5 point favorite with a 97.5 total.
What does that mean?
I don't know.
That's not like what?
That's what it says. College football mythical matchups.
I'm not sure what a mythical matchup is. What that
you
even
don't
mean?
You don't think that's the like down the line?
Cody,
maybe a mythical is like video game or something.
Yeah, it's probably a video game. Yeah, some kind of video game. Like the biggest totals in all of college football are like 58 to 60 points, something like that. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
I don't know. I was just reading what they had on here. So I don't know what the hell a mythical matchup is, but that's what it says. Anyway, so I have them at 11-1. I posted my predictions last week. 11-1 with a loss to Georgia by 3 points. In the SEC title game, that puts Texas in the SEC title game with a win over Ole Miss for me. Do you have them getting to the SEC championship with 2 losses?
I guess it would just depend on who the loss was to, and I'm too big a coward to say who the other loss is to. I kind of think that they lose 2 and they miss out on the SEC championship game, but they go to the college football playoff.
Get like an 8 seed or something?
Yeah, 6 through 8.
Okay. So do you have an SEC title game prediction, like a Georgia, Alabama? You seem like you're pretty high on Alabama.
I'm high on Alabama. Yeah, I mean, I think it could easily beat Texas, man. I'll predict Georgia. I'll predict.
Don't be a coward.
I'll predict Georgia, Alabama.
All right. Georgia, Alabama, SEC championship. Last one I got. National title game prediction. I have them going all the way to the end. Texas going all the way to the end and getting kicked in the nuts at the last second by Ohio State.
Ohio State. That's my same deal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I
don't think Texas wins the SEC, but dude, I think they get hot at the end, man. They blast through the tournament. I go with the Joel Klatt scenario, like they end up getting the semifinal in the Cotton Bowl, getting a little bit of a home field advantage, and then it's Quinn Ewers facing off versus Ohio State, and that's what I'll predict for my final take of the Final Take show on a Final Takes Tuesday, man. So we can't thank you guys enough for being here as we just what is it?
Can I tell you what the mythical matchup is?
What is it?
Mythical matchup is two teams that will play at some point during the year and their week 1 result. So Texas's points, Oklahoma's points against each other, but they're not actually playing against each other.
Oh, okay. So, but OU's got a bet. Hold on. Who does OU play again? I have the schedule. I can just pull up just real quick. Hold on. You need to bookmark this TV schedule thing, Cody. It's really helpful. So it's Temple at Oklahoma. So
they might score 65 on Temple.
They're 3-point favorites over Texas.
Oklahoma's a 3-point favorite over Texas, and the total is 97.5. So if Oklahoma scores 55 and Texas scores 35,
dude, that thing might go over. That thing.
I like these bets now. I just found out what this was literally right now. I can't like those now.
They're trying to think of new ways to get us degenerates in there, man.
What is this 97.5 point? As soon as I read it, I was like, that's fishy.
Creeping up towards 600 of y'all in here, man. It's crazy. Thank y'all so much for being here. We can't tell you how much we appreciate it. We're here for the rest of the week, except for Friday, where we'll have one quick day off before the true day in, day out grind of the season starts. But we're here, man. It's game week, dude. We're pumped up to be here. We can't thank you guys enough. We can't thank Texas Beef Traders, Poncho Outdoors, and Specs enough for being such great sponsors. Again, email us. FWFemails@gmail.com. Mark your calendars for September 6th at Texas Beef Traders for the live version of the show, where we will be eating a bunch of steak and a bunch of beef products and drinking just a bunch of beer and wine and sangria and all the rest, man. And it's all free. All